Now we are going to learn about the concept of threatened species or T species. Threatened species are the dwindling species living under the persistent threat, risk, or danger of total extermination if not properly protected. To be more simple, they are the species most likely to become extinct in the near future under the existing conditions. Animal species are considered threatened on the basis of four parameters as follows: range of past and present distribution, decline in the number of populations or individuals in course of time, extent and equality of natural habitats, biology, and the potential survival value of species. Biology and potential survival value. Potential survival value. So these are the four parameters which represented as or considered as the threatened categories. So the Species Survival Commission SSC of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources IUCN has recognized 5 categories of threatened species based on the relative degree of threat to their survival. Before moving on to that, let's learn animal species are considered threatened on the basis of 4 parameters as follows: range of past and present distribution, decline in the number of populations or individuals in course of time, extent and equality of natural habitats, biology, and potential survival value of species. Range of past and present distribution, decline in the number of populations or individuals in course of time, extent of and quality of natural habitats, biology, and potential survival value of species. The Species Survival Commission (SSC) of the International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources has recognized 5 categories of threatened species based on the relative degree of threat to their survival. They are critical species, endangered species, vulnerable species, rare species, and indeterminate species. The first one is the critical species or C species. These are the species at an extremely high or grave risk of immediate extinction or imminent extinction. Javan rhino, ivory-billed woodpecker, etc. are examples. Which are the examples for critical species? Javan rhino, and ivory-billed woodpecker. Ivory-billed woodpecker, etc. are critical species. Endangered species or E species. These are the species at a high risk of extinction in the near future if immediate protection is not provided. Species at a high risk of extinction if immediate protection is not provided. Their population size or number of existing members will be below the critical level and the extent of their natural habitat will be very much reduced. They are represented by very few individuals in small areas, always under the severe threat of changing environment and mounting predation pressure. If the negative factors which have caused the decrease in their population size continue to operate, they are doomed to become extinct. Indian rhino, Asiatic lion, snow leopard, lion-tailed macaque of Kerala, wild ass of Ran of Kutch. Indian rhino, Asiatic lion, snow leopard, lion-tailed macaque of Kerala, wild ass of Ran of Kutch, etc. are endangered Indian animals. Next category is the vulnerable species or V species. the species that are likely to become endangered in the near future if the negative factors continue to operate. The population of the species have become considerably depleted or are under the threat of depletion and are not properly protected. Spotted deer, musk deer, sambar deer, black buck, Asiatic elephant, Gangetic dolphin, etc. are vulnerable species. Next is the rare species. These are the species of only a few small populations in the world, which are either confined to certain restricted survival pockets or are thinly scattered over the widely separated areas of an extensive range. Though they are not endangered or vulnerable, their survival is always at risk. Himalayan brown bear, wild Asiatic buffalo, desert fox, hornbill, and the great Indian bustard, etc. are rare species. The rare species are of two categories, namely those with small geographical ranges and narrow habitat specificity, those with very large geographical range, widely different habitats, and low population density. The species of the first category are often endangered or threatened, whereas those with small geographical ranges and narrow habitat specificity. But the next one, second category, those with very large geographical ranges, widely different habitats, and low population density. Never endangered but are ecologically interesting. They are ecologically interesting. In general, the number and size of the habitable sites may be very small in the case of rare species. A species may be rare so long as its power for dispersal are only limited and the sites uninhabited by it are many. Within the limited habitable sites, interspecific competition, predation pressure, diseases, etc. may restrict species abundance. On the whole, the rarity of species appears to become on three characteristics, namely size of geographical range, large or small, size of geographical range, habitat specificity, wide or narrow, local population size, high versus low. This classification provides 8 triple combinations and makes it clear that a species does not necessarily require small local populations or high habitat specificity to become rare. Rarity of species is multi-factor concept and species exhibit different degrees of rarity at global, regional and local levels. Many species are rare by virtue of their ecological conditions, while many others are rare due to human activities. Some species are more susceptible to rarity and anthropogenic changes than others. Species having poor dispersal potential or sedentary behavior become rare and more vulnerable to anthropogenic habitat loss and habitat fragmentation. Rarity of species is multifaceted concept and species exhibit different degrees of rarity at global, regional and local levels. Many species are rare by virtue of their ecological conditions, while many others are rare due to human activities. Some species are more susceptible to rarity and anthropogenic changes than others. Species having poor dispersal potential or sedentary behavior become rare and more vulnerable to anthropogenic habitat loss and habitat fragmentation. With poor dispersal potential and with sedentary behavior, a species which has declined to low numbers will naturally suffer from genetic diversity. This in turn will reduce its adaptability in changing environment conditions and new diseases. It may also suffer from inbreeding depression, which involves increased homozygosity, expression of deleterious recessive alleles, and reduced fitness of the offspring. This homozygosity is believed to be responsible for the large-scale sperm abnormality and juvenile mortality and increased susceptibility to diseases. Next species is the I species, that is the indeterminate species. These are the threatened species. These are some sort of threatened species. Threatened species whose survival states are not definitely determined due to the lack of sufficient information. Indeterminate. We couldn't determine their status. Whether they are endangered, vulnerable, or rare has not been convincingly established. Three-banded armadillo of Brazil, prairie dog of Mexico, Sumatran short-eared rabbit, Nisolagus netscheri, etc. These are indeterminate species. Indeterminate species. For example, three-banded armadillo of Brazil, prairie dog of Mexico, Sumatran short-eared rabbit. First category was critical species, extremely high risk for imminent extinction, such as Javan rhino, ivory-billed woodpecker, etc. Next category was the endangered species, lion-tailed macaque of Kerala, Indian rhino, Asiatic lion, etc. Vulnerable species was also there. They are likely to become endangered in the near future. So rare species, small populations, only small populations in the world which are either confined to certain restricted survival pockets or thinly scattered over a widely separated areas of an extensive range. That is the case of rare species. Next is the indeterminate species whose survival status is not definitely determined due to the lack of sufficient information. Example, three-banded armadillo, and the prairie dog and the Sumatran short-eared rabbit.